Man. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Somebody give me something to drink. You know what I'm saying? Since everything else, make sure we get us drink. It's a beautiful day. Let's see. My brother said we going live. So since we going live,
DJ Don P and
let's do it like this. With that. Oh well. I'm a top one. Hey, you gon' work that too. Say go for 15. How you pay 22? Oh Lord, I just transform a lot of bands on. I'm a fight to the get right. Check the plan on. Asian business, I just made a 50. Tell me what's the tip. Portray that image, acting like he weird. We pay him a bit. Speaking on my name, drop the change, get you changed. Big body range, you know we're not the same. DOC got me retarded, super targeted. Hey. Hello, people. How y'all doing? It's your boy, the one. Actually, I'm the two and only because I'm like Junior. Your boy, DJ Don P. P stand for Petty. Twice on Sunday. 3 times on Monday. With my co-host, the one and only.
Yes, sir. It's your boy Chasey Trapman, ready to get it up in here tonight on this lovely Tuesday. Let's do it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We setting traps for them everywhere. We trying to get it, man.
Hey, might as well. Mr. Chapman.
No, Trapman.
Oh.
Chasey Trapman. Yeah.
Mr. Trapman.
Yeah.
Excuse the mispronunciation.
It's all good.
You know, Petty Pendergrass, he messes up every now and then.
What's up with it?
Man, did he go too far?
Who was that?
There's some dumb guy, you know, and that's not a Chinese dish, by the way, even though if they wanted to be, come holler at PlainTalkPropaganda and you can put it on your menu. Some dumb guy decided that it was a good idea to arrest a 6-year-old.
Why did he arrest a 6-year-old?
Arrested the 6-year-old. His name, let me see, because I want, you know, we try to make sure we do everything correctly. We pronounce names correctly. We want the correct spelling because we went to school. We know how to read. His name Il, and by the way, whoever his employer was, I don't know if letting the man go was the right thing to do. You know, we try to make sure we do everything. Dennis Turner, not the menace, but Dennis Turner is no longer with the Orlando Police Department.
Why is that?
Because out of all of his 22 years of service, he decided that he was going to arrest a 6-year-old for throwing a tantrum. Not only did he arrest,
what kind of tantrum?
I mean, how many tantrums can 6-year-olds throw? Here I am.
Yeah.
At 40, I might be having a tantrum, throwing a tantrum right now.
Right. That's pretty much what I do every week on here. I damn sure don't want to get arrested for it.
I don't think it's a tantrum that you do. I think it's more so of speaking words that people don't want to acknowledge, but they already acknowledge from within. Well, last week, this is how the story goes. Turner arrested an 8-year-old. He don't arrested a 6-year-old. Oh, so he's starting early.
Yeah.
Brother man,
yeah.
early. He want to get you early. He wants you to understand that it's not a game. These things, little people jail and big people jail is what he's trying to establish, it seems like. So Dennis Turner, a 22-year-old vet, was fired from Orlando Police Department following an investigation into the arrest he made of a child. Previous reports stated Turner also arrested an 8-year-old in an unrelated incident. However, the police department clarified both children were last week.
Both children were what now?
6 years old, 6 years of age.
Yeah.
Last week, Marilyn Kirkland received a phone call from school officials at Lucius and Emma Nixon Academy saying that her granddaughter, Kaya, had been arrested by a school resource officer. Okay. First things first. Mr. Turner, shame on you, brother. But school officials, what are you doing? Because if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Turner is there to protect and serve the school from 6-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
And he did his job. Maybe they should have had an on-site jail for him. We had an on-site jail in elementary, middle, and high school. They just called it detention. But I don't know if that really works nowadays. So, Mr. Trapman.
Yes, sir.
I don't really have a whole issue with Turner. I got a 7/9 of an issue with Mr. Turner. But the other part, what's up with the school? Y'all can't discipline kids no more? Where are we going? What are we doing? How do you even get to the point where a 6-year-old is being transported with handcuffs? Tell me something.
Well, I mean, I was really hoping that you would kind of elaborate on. Well, I'll put it this way: I do have a problem with the officer. The first problem I have is with the officer. Here's why. When you as you know, when you're in the education system, there is no oath that you take to protect and serve. There is a requirement that you do it because you have people's children under your watch, but you don't take the same oath that an officer takes. And with that, that means that there's a higher standard, meaning that there's a level of judgment that's expected of you. And it to me, the reason that I have the whole issue with him, right, at least up front, is because it's no different than a situation where officers are shooting children, unarmed men and women, walking into people's homes and killing them, and then switching up the story to say that I thought it was my apartment. To me, that's the very fundamental problem with this. When you're an officer of the law and you put that badge on and you go out today and say that it's my job to serve the community, that means that you are a decision maker on behalf of others. And in this particular case, if you really want to be honest, or if I want to be honest with myself, if I'm the officer, I'm questioning the school. That's where I would be putting the school on the hook as the officer. But as the officer, there is nothing. First of all, there's a juvenile system available in every state in America for juvenile deviants. Now, I do have a heart for this young lady, at least the second young lady who was taken down. She wasn't processed. I want to say her name real quick. I believe it's Kaya. Kaya Roll. I hope I'm saying that right. I don't know if you said it earlier. Her parents are saying that she has a couple of medical issues that they're trying to work through. One of them near and dear to my heart, which is sleep apnea, which is something that I have. And had I known at that age that I had sleep apnea, I may not have some of the other medical problems that I have today. Because once diagnosed about 3 years ago now, my overall health has gotten a lot better, and particularly my high blood pressure. And so what happens when you have sleep apnea is you find yourself in a very restless state, and at certain times of the day, it is very difficult to keep yourself focused. Now, as a 6-year-old, I can only imagine how that affects you, because as an adult, I found myself sitting at my desk for years, knocked out. Even though I was actively there, I knew what was going on around me. You could have a conversation with me, but my brain was shut down. As a 6-year-old, there's no way that she had control over that. So when you say she was acting out, I have to first step back and say, okay, isn't that what 6-year-olds do? Isn't that what
Well,
children do?
you know
I
what
mean,
this, like when I read this story, not to cut you off, it says that she kicked somebody while she was having a tantrum. If you remember the movie scene from Don't Be a Menace While Drinking Your Juice in the Hood, when he was acting like he was Trey swinging and he was literally hitting everybody around him. If somebody's swinging and you're standing there, it's a very high probability that you're going to get hit. If they swinging and you step back, it's an even higher probability that you won't get hit. So the whole
help me connect that to this story though. Did somebody get hit?
In the story, it says Kaya reportedly kicked someone during a tantrum. So whatever the tantrum was, whether she was rolling on the ground crying or whatever, once again, we're talking about 6-year-olds. Pretty sure they was probably sitting in a circle doing story time. I don't know. I ain't been 6 in a while, but I still act like a 6-year-old on a daily. If you throwing a tantrum, people have bumped their heads, falling out on the ground, throwing a tantrum, if that's what we want to, talk about. When I've seen kids in the store, mama or daddy tell them they can't have something, they fall out and they go all backwards. I almost fall out the buggy. Does that mean the parent was neglecting the child? No, that child threw a tantrum and you suffer the consequences of throwing a tantrum. You hit your head. Now, in Kaya's case, she was throwing a tantrum and someone may have got kicked, may have got touched or whatever. But you're trying to charge first of all, you're trying to charge a 6-year-old. Like, I don't know who has sleep apnea more, Kaya or Mr. Turner, because obviously it was no thinking involved in this whole situation. Child development, all that happens. You gotta, man, look.
Well, I mean, I don't want to, I appreciate where you're coming from on that, but like I said, from the sleep apnea standpoint, that's something that she can't control. She has no, I don't. So what I'm saying is, like, I don't even want to give the officer the benefit of him having sleep apnea or not. He has medical coverage. He can go to the doctor and figure out whatever it is. I think his problem has nothing to do with sleep apnea. There's a mental issue there, and it could be stress from the job. I think you said he served over 20 years, but the point I was trying to make earlier, not only from the standpoint of that he's got a decision, he's in a decision-making position here. One of my biggest issues with this is, how do you rightfully read a Miranda Act to a 6-year-old? Because you can't lawfully arrest anyone
Hopefully
without reading them their rights,
Wait.
But I mean, from the just continuing on that, the other part of that is this: not only can you not actively read her rights, how could she actively understand those rights? And so, at least from the research that I did in reading up on this, he's not actually able to arrest anyone under 12 years old without his commander's approval, which he did not obtain. And so, I wanna actually transition this over to what is the bigger issue, and that we haven't spoke on. This young lady is Black. I don't know the identity of the other child. I'm pretty sure. Well, I'm not going to say I'm sure, because I don't know the identity of the other child. Her family hasn't weighed in, or hasn't been available for comment. But what I'm saying to you is this: this is the problem with what happens in our community. The officers are so hell bent on moving us right into the prison system. 6 years old, the trauma that little girl has. If she acts out now after going through that, fortunately she wasn't processed. She, from what at least I've seen, she wasn't, in any type of detention. She wasn't, held. There was no bond. She didn't have to see a judge, right?
Right.
But on the flip side of this, the bigger issue here is the willingness, the willful intent of the officer to put this young lady into a system that's meant for adults who commit crimes, but B, put her into a system that's meant to keep her in the system once she's in it. And there's bigger news, of course, happening in the world. But one of the things that the current president of the United States is touting is his action on prison reform. I don't really agree with it. I do see people on both sides of the aisle, attempting to share or give him some credit for the work he's done, and they're right. They're okay with doing. They're okay to do that, but it doesn't negate everything that he did prior to being in that office. And he was one of the biggest proponents. Took out full-page ads in the newspaper in New York to keep the New York Five incarcerated when they were innocent. And so that's my problem with this. I don't have any questions for the school officials other than, is that the best protocol that you have, is to contact the police when a 6-year-old is acting out? If you can't handle a 6-year-old, you don't need to be in the education system. But to put this young lady in handcuffs in the back of a police car to transport her is the bigger problem in this country. We are so hell-bent on putting Black and brown people behind bars as opposed to finding ways for rehabilitation or for assistance like we want to do for our counterparts that are not Black or brown.
So I got a question.
Shoot.
The Petty P had tapped me on my shoulder and was like, "Have you seen a full-page ad about the New York Five ever since anything has happened to them from Mr. 45?
Did he do what now?
Did he claim the innocence of the New York gentleman? Like, has he put out
Of course not.
Okay.
Of course not.
Just check. I was just checking for reference.
No, up until even up until the point that they were released, he was still putting money into the system to keep them incarcerated. There was no intent on his part to do anything for them.
So, Mr. Turner, you did it to yourself, brother. That's all I can tell you. So, moving right along from the 6-year-old, we're going to go up a little notch. Teenagers. Mom, dad. Spare the rod, spoil the child. There is no real handbook to raising kids. I know some people do the best they can and hope for the best outcome in the end. One thing I can tell you, children, adolescents, kids, babies, teenagers, theft is not the route to go. Robbery is not the route to go. Armed robbery is not the route to go. That's not a good path to take, because it's a lot of people that can end up in harm's way. Unfortunately, we had three young teenagers to lose their lives in the state of Georgia. Two of them were brothers. I want to get their names correct. And Mr. Chico Chapman is a neighbor that told the Daily Mail how the unidentified man is rarely at home. And was it Conyers? As he works long hours, but Yeah, Conyers, Georgia, but he's a friendly guy who always waves. Brian Jenkins said the triple shooting, which left two brothers, 16 and 15, and their 16-year-old friend, Brandon Gresham, dead, had left the shooter crushed. So it was 4 a.m. Let's start off with that right there, 4 a.m. Now, from an adult standpoint, it's 4 a.m. You can do whatever you want. From a teenage standpoint, DJ Don P hopes that you are at home, unless you're going to practice because you got 2 days or you got a job that you're getting ready for. Otherwise, being out at 4 a.m. at 15 and 16, I really don't understand what it is you're doing or where you're going. The only thing open, they say back in the day, is legs in trouble at 7-Eleven. And if you're going in at 7-Eleven, hopefully you're going to get into some legs afterwards, which may end up getting you in trouble anyway. But I digress. 3 gentlemen tried to rob some people sitting in the front yard. It wasn't even like they kicked the door in or anything like that, or carjacking. The story basically says that some gentlemen were sitting in their front yard at 4 a.m. Two of the teenagers had masks on. One brandished a firearm, opened fire, bullets exchanged, 3 young men dead. I don't know. This is a hard one for me because I tend to put myself in their shoes, and like I say, when I was that age, I wasn't outside at 4 a.m. I was inside. So what is your take on this? And the gentleman, by the way, who is not named, who is the shooter, it seems like he's remorseful and I can only go by what I'm reading, is that he held one of the suspects as they passed away. He was devastated, but hey, it's a risky business. So, Mr. Trapman, what do you got to say about it?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna hold mine for a minute. I mean, first of all, I don't have no problem with what happened to those young men, but bro wanna chime in, so I'm gonna bring in Bro O'Neal and let him get the opportunity, and then I'll share my part on it. Can you hear us, bro?
I didn't know I was chiming in.
You always chiming in.
You asked what a link had. Did you want to come in?
I mean, the Dawn told me to go to the link, so you got to listen to the Dawn.
Well, I know you had some thoughts on that first story that we talked about, or you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
you had something on this one?
So, I can say something on that first one.
You got some background noise. Sound like you're on a motorcycle.
Driving around with my windows down. You know how to do it.
Okay.
Sound like you over there motorboating.
Bitch, it is. You know it ain't Taco Tuesday.
That's right.
But no, I hope I sound clear. But
it sounds like something rubbing against your phone.
Yeah.
Well, shit. We'll figure this later then.
Okay.
I'll go back on mute.
Okay. So if you get it back, just shoot me a note. I'll let you come back in and add your thoughts on it. Definitely, I think DeMarcus had asked about coming on. All you got to do, folks, is just get on the Zoom. We would love to hear from you. The link is in the comments everywhere. It's also on the if you're in Zoom, it's in there. But definitely, I'm going to tell you, I'm not torn on this. I'm not torn on this topic at all. I don't know 100%, but I believe that the gentleman who ended up defending his home against these 3 young men is a Caucasian male. I don't know that to be a fact, but I believe that's the case. I had heard or read a couple of comments where some people were, having, they were in their feelings about this man, saying he didn't have to do it. The family members, he didn't have to do this. He didn't have to kill our family members. He didn't have to kill our kids. And I'm going to tell you right now, I totally disagree with that. I think that I'm all for showing love to the community, right? I'm all for doing the right thing. I'm all for the Black experience and trying to make sure that we're not marginalized or minimalized, killed unnecessarily,
Right.
due to racial tensions or any other unnecessary acts of violence. That includes gang violence, black on black crime, and the self-inflicted harm that we do to each other. But in this particular case, you got 3 kids who, again, to your point, I agree, have no business out at 4:00 a.m. At that age, at the very least, they would be a senior in high school, which means you're still in high school, which would mean that you were smart enough to be a senior by 16, so you should know better. Second of all, they fired the first shot at this man's home. There were people in the yard. This man came outside. This is a situation where there's ongoing arguments right now in Congress, and why do you need a semi-automatic weapon? In this particular case, this man needed a semi-automatic weapon. From my understanding, he used an AR-15. There were 3 against 1. I don't know if there were any other guns with 3 kids, but at the end of the day, they fired off. They had intent to harm him, harm the inhabitants of his home. They had intent apparently to steal, to rob, to take from this man. So I don't have any sympathy for them. I do respect the fact that lives were lost, and I would prefer that not to be the case. But in this particular case, this is where, me having nephews and nieces, me having mentees, young men that I give guidance to, or that come to me just to have conversation about life. This is where I feel like we have to have that conversation, and I'm disappointed in those family members who get into their emotions. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that you can't be upset about the loss of life of your loved one. That's not what I'm saying. But this is a clear case where your loved ones, first of all, you weren't doing what you should have been doing
To make sure that it don't happen.
To make sure that it doesn't happen, because they should not have been out that time of night. Now, I don't know their parents. This is not an indictment on them or whoever their caretakers are.
No,
that's not
whatsoever.
what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the facts of the matter are they came into this man's property. The man had signs posted saying that you will be shot. There are pictures online of the man's home. You will be shot if you trespass. Okay. Now you then go off and you fire your weapon, whatever type of weapon that was, at this man's property. He returned fire, and he had the compassion to go and try to be with one of them, and try to get him to hold on until paramedics got there. Unfortunately, he passed away. So I'm not torn on this at all. What I'm torn on is what are we doing as a community to stop this, in my mind, totally unjustified mentality of victim after we do wrong.
Man,
you can't sit here and tell me, give me a moment. You can't tell me this man shouldn't have done or was wrong for doing when he's protecting his property. You do the same thing at your home. He didn't go out and find them and shoot them. This is not a George Zimmerman, Trayvon Martin situation.
Oh, no. No.
They ran up in this man's yard. So I don't feel sorry for you. And no, I don't empathize for you when you say he didn't have to kill him. Well, what did he have to do? He had to die? He had to get killed by them? Here's another lesson. What you see in the movies ain't real. Just because you pull out a gun and shoot it don't mean the person gonna be hit. Don't mean your target gonna be struck. And so you came out there, you understand, you bit off more than you could chew. You bit off more than you could chew. And unfortunately, lives were lost. Now, I say that it's unfortunate because they are young Black men who will not have an opportunity to see what their future would have been. But they made a choice. And therefore, there were consequences. So I'm not torn on it at all. And I don't sympathize or empathize for those family members or friends who try to put it back on this man as if he didn't have a right to defend his home, his own property that had signs posted.
Man, like, it's like this. Like, I got a friend, he got a sign posted too. And he'll tell you, man, you won, leave me alone, it's all good. But some people just keep tapping them, keep tapping them, keep pushing them. And then they end up under a car. You know what I'm saying? Like, it happens. People write checks that they ass can't cash.
Essentially.
You know what I'm saying? Head hit the car, alarm go off. Everybody at the park looking like, ooh, you know, stuff like that. So if you go to a gunfight, understand that you're not. My grandma told me a long time ago, they didn't stop making guns at 5 o'clock when they made yours. It is a high probability that the person you shooting at is gonna shoot back.
But let's get this understood though. What are you doing at 15 and 16 years old
With
that
a
you
gun,
need to be in a gunfight?
with a gun, with a
This ain't the
mask.
this ain't the wild west. They didn't go for a gunfight. What they went for was an easy win. And joke's on you. That's what happened.
Hey, the man
They
say,
thought this man is never home. We gonna get him. And the problem is poor planning produces poor results. And unfortunately for these three young men, the poor results were the loss of their lives.
the poor part of the plan was the plan itself.
That's the point I'm making.
I
That's the point I'm making.
Hey,
there was
DJ Don P, the petty one, and Chasey Trapman is telling you, we, even though I laugh and because my sense of humor is terrible like that. Look, man, going to anybody's house that you, first of all, you don't know, that there's a sign that says if I don't know you, you're gonna get shot. That's basically what it says. The man obviously didn't know you if you had a mask on, so he can't identify you. If you had a mask off, maybe he can identify you. Maybe you won't get shot. Who knows? What I do know is if you're at the house at 4 o'clock in the morning, you don't get shot. If you're at the house without a gun, if you're not at his house at 4 o'clock in the morning, you don't get shot.
But it's more than just being at his house at 4 in the morning. They actually shot. They actually shot at his house. They opened fire on his home.
Right. There's this thing that in America, I learned about it when I was like 12, 13. It's called a job. If you want something, just go work for it. And I'm not talking about going to put out an application. There are 9 and 10-year-olds walking around with lawnmowers, mowing people's yards, and say, hey, and I'm not even talking about mowing the yard knowing that they're going to get paid. They're doing the service first, hoping that they'll be appreciated. And then they're reaping the benefits. People are like, oh man, that's nice right there. You got people going out buying cans of gas and giving these kids money because they're putting forth effort. They ain't trying to come over here, rob, steal, and kill. If a young man can go out and get 2 master's degrees and stand on the highway and hand out resumes, what make me think that you can't do the same? Somebody tell me something.
Well, I mean, like I said, that was kind of, my thing was, let's just get this, let's just make sure we get this straight. It's 3 of you. Like you said, if y'all get a job, y'all could have put y'all money together and whatever it is that y'all was trying to get out of this man's house, you could have got on your own. And you wouldn't have to look over your shoulder. Nobody would have been able to take it from you. And in this particular case, ironically, if somebody did try to take it from you, you got a gun to defend yourself. Why you have a gun is a whole different story. But again, the point is still made. This is a situation where I don't care about what color either party was. I don't care about what gender. Right is right, wrong is wrong. You run up on the wrong person, and you're gonna end up, what's going around right now. I mean, the way the world moves so fast now. But what was really going viral a couple of weeks ago, maybe about a month ago, was like if you see a dude with black Air Force Ones on. Now, I never knew that black Air Force Ones was a symbol that you probably was a mean person is gonna be able to beat somebody up. Because I love where, you know, I prefer black Force Ones over white ones all day because the white ones gonna get dirty. But I stopped wearing my black Force Ones. I don't want people to think I'm walking around beating nobody up. But on the flip side, what I'm saying is, if you see the man got a sign, that's basically his black Air Force Ones, and it's basically saying, "Don't come up in his yard. Don't come up in his yard. You ain't got no business going there," and you wouldn't have that problem. But again, my message is really for the family members, for the community members, the ones who trying to get action behind them, trying to get people to motorize. Hey man, look, if y'all want to help pay for the funerals, because it's 3 children died all at once, I get it. I'm down with it. If y'all want to console the family, but this man deserves to live in peace, because he's gonna have to live with the fact that he had to take 3 lives for the rest of his life, and he didn't wake up nor plan to have to do that. And so, you know, my thing is, if you gotta get, I'm looking at the Zoom comments over here. If you gotta get a gun and run up in somebody else's house or somebody else's yard, you need to be ready to die. And if you feel like you that tough that you ready to die, then go ahead and let your family members and your friends around you, let them know before you go and do this dumb shit that, hey, I might not come back tonight and it's gonna be my fault. Don't cry on my behalf.
Now, that's a perfect segue into our next topic. Community coming together with the wrong message in mind. You know, like you said, the family and community members coming together trying to say it was wrong for doing it. He shouldn't have protected himself. Duh. There's a community in San Francisco. So and it's about the homeless crisis. So this neighborhood of people said, you know what? We don't like, and it says Rocky West. Neighbors along Clinton Park in the city's Mission Dolores neighborhood. This is what these neighbors decided to do. They were fed up with the homeless crisis. So what they decided to do, they didn't want people laying down on the concrete anymore on the curbs close to their neighborhood. So they all got together, they huddled up, just like any other San Francisco 49er or Houston Texans fan do. They huddle up, and they, in their mind, say, you know what we gonna do? We gonna pool our money together, and we gonna buy some rocks. I take that back. Not rocks. We're gonna buy some boulders. Like,
yeah, because you sound like a bunch of crackheads when you said that.
And that's why I had to change it up. They didn't want rocks. They want boulders.
Yeah, real boulders.
Hey, I'm talking about real life-size 3 feet, 4 foot boulders. And we're going to put them on the street where the people lay so they can't lay there. Dude, when I tell you, I'm going to say it again. They put their money together and bought boulders. Not put their money together to invest in a shelter that may take off some of the people. They bought boulders because they're like, you know what? I know what we can do. We're going to fix them today. Let's go get these rocks and put them on the street so they can't lay where the rocks at. If you put the rock there, I'm pretty sure if 3 or 4 people that want to sleep there can push the rock out the way if they wanted to. It's almost like trying to build a wall in Mexico, but not put another side to it, like the people can't walk around.
I mean, so let me ask you a question, because I don't hear you. I don't hear you sharing what your thoughts are on it. It's almost like you.
This is my thought.
Talk. What are your thoughts on it? Do you think it's a bad idea, a good idea? Do you think they're wrong?
This is almost one of the stupidest things I've ever heard of.
But what is though?
For the aspect of you tried to fix a problem by messing up the street. If I wanna run in the neighborhood now I got to run around rocks. If I want to bike ride, I can't ride on the sidewalk. There's no space on the sidewalk for me to even do anything. And your purpose for putting the boulders, on the sidewalk is because you don't want people sleeping there because they trash your neighborhood. You just put more trash in the neighborhood. That's not decoration. It's not painted. It's a rock. It's a big rock. Now, my issue with this is more than one people joined in with this. No one thought, just like at the school, no one thought, just like in those 3 kids that got killed, to say, hey, this might not be a good idea. No one seems to be saying that until after the fact. Right now, I'm saying it. You have people who are homeless. For me, I always believe that I'm one decision away from being exactly where those people are. Because all it takes is one decision. How is it that you can formulate in your mind the best way to get rid of a homeless person is to make sure that they don't sleep on the ground, where you don't even, you're not even on the ground over there. You put money together to make it to where they can't be in your neighborhood. You didn't put money together to help them move somewhere permanently. You didn't put money together to start a fund to, get with a housing company to build some type of, what is it called, Section 8 area, or you didn't think of nothing. You thought of a temporary fix to a very, very much so permanent problem right now. Because that rock ain't gonna be there forever. People of whatever, what's the neighborhood again? I'm gonna say it. Mission Dolores neighborhood. One of the people in the neighborhood said they'll shoot up and stay overnight. So if Chasey Trapman, the one and only, is standing on my left and he's shooting drugs and I don't want him on my left, what is going to keep him from standing on my right and doing the same thing? You put rocks on one side of the street. All they're going to do is go to the other side of the street and do the same thing. McFly, if I build a wall and they put a ladder on that same wall, am I really keeping them out? I don't know. Maybe I'm the dumb one.
I'm not gonna call you dumb at all. I mean, that's malarkey. I am gonna tell you I disagree with you wholeheartedly.
About the rock?
I disagree wholeheartedly.
Talk to me.
First of all, you said if I want to run down the road, now I can't run because there's boulders in the way. Well, guess what was in the way before the boulders were there? Homeless people use needles.
Word.
Trash, things that lower the value of the property in their community. Now, here's where I stand on it. I actually think that these people deserve a little bit more credit for their willingness to come together, which is something that I wish we would do more in our communities. I have lived in communities, and we have seen all over this country, for example, cities like Houston, Chicago, New York, LA, Miami. People say that they can't do anything about the drug presence in their neighborhoods because they're getting bullied, they're getting pushed around. These people in San Francisco said, hey, if the city isn't doing anything, then we're going to do something. I don't think it's their responsibility to go out and build a shelter for those people who are homeless. I disagree with you that you're one decision away from being homeless, because I've known you for a long time. You wouldn't make a decision that would end in homelessness. I do believe that we are all subject to circumstances that could lead us into a position of lesser privilege than we currently enjoy. But in this situation, these are people that said, you know what? Instead of calling the police on these people, instead of putting them in jail, instead of doing nothing, we came together and we figured out a way to do something. When I read the story, what I understand is they decided, let's pool money together, but they didn't even know what they were going to do. It just ended up in, okay, let's put these boulders down. And my neighborhood, the neighborhood that I live in, there are boulders in the landscaping. Several neighborhoods that I've been to in several cities use boulders as part of the landscaping. So I don't think that the boulders take any value away from the property. But again, if people were laying there shooting up, leaving dirty needles, having sex, doing whatever it is that they're doing in there, defecating, using the restroom on the sidewalk, you're not running through there anyway. That's not where you're going out for a jog at. I commend these people for actually saying, you know what, let's get together and do something. In my opinion, they did something that's more humane than the way most people treat homeless people.
Yeah, I know somebody don't get homeless nothing.
So I don't give homeless people nothing. It is not because,
That's what I'm talking
I won't
about.
say that. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've given homeless people food.
Yeah.
The problem is you give a homeless person food and they give it back because they want money. Why? Because they want drugs. They want alcohol. They don't really care about food.
All I'm saying.
The thing.
Go ahead.
I'm just basically saying that I commend these people for coming together and saying we're not helpless. We're not victims. We can do something to better our community. And they're not saying, homeless people, we don't care about you. They're saying you need to find somewhere else to go. Now, it's the city's job to figure that out. You know what the city did say? The city did say, well, we're not using our resources to go remove the boulders because we didn't put them out there. You know what that means to me? The city is saying, we think that these people did what they should have done in their community. Man, I would challenge more people in more communities. You know, when I'm driving in Houston, what has been tripping me out after all the years that were spent getting the homeless, getting the prostitutes off of Main, off of the, out of the area where the stadium is, it's right back. Now they got tents. They got whole tents. They went to Walmart, Target, Academy. They went to all. We got homecoming coming up for college. You know how much it costs to get a tent. Just a decent tent, 3-4 person tent. Y'all got money to go get a tent, but you can't go to the labor pool and get a job. You can't go fill out an application for assistance. And here's what I'm saying. I don't know each one's individual situation, but a good portion of the people that I see that are homeless, a good portion of the people that I see that are living those lifestyles contributed to that themselves. They're not all victims. They're not all one decision away. Most of them made several bad decisions. That's not a judgment. That's an observation. I challenge any of them to come on Plain Talk Propaganda and tell me the other side. Because I've seen too many people that have been homeless and work their way out of homelessness and back to being productive members of society. So I don't feel sorry for them in that way. You can do better. And I definitely don't want to fault the citizens of that community, the tax-paying citizens of that community, for figuring out a way to humanely say, please don't shoot up here in front of our kids. Leave dirty needles on the ground for our kids to step on and contract some alphabet disease because of your negligence, because of your poor choices in life. I disagree wholeheartedly. I think these people deserve to be commended, and I hope more communities take that same spirit and say, you know what, we can do something. We can fix our own problems.
I give you that. We can fix our own problem. What I don't understand is you have someone who's laying on a concrete bed already. They laying on the concrete. You're going to give them a concrete pillow to sit on. You're going to give them look, that boulder to me ain't doing nothing.
That's to you. But the story that you read, that you sent to me, says that it has reduced it. We got to comment. Kevin put, I don't think all homeless people use their money on the wrong things. That's not the point I'm making. Because if you're homeless, you only got a limited amount of money anyway. So the point I'm making is not that homeless people put their money on the wrong things, or that homeless people are homeless because they all did the wrong things. The point I'm making is a good portion of them are there because of several bad decisions that they made, and they squandered opportunities. And the bottom line is, when you read this story in San Francisco, which Kevin, as a 49ers fan, understands where I'm coming from here, at the end of the day, these people just simply saying that we don't feel that we should have to, after we, when we pay taxes in our community, we don't feel that we should have to drive down the street or subject our kids to seeing people shooting up dope, smoking pipes, whatever it is that they're doing, using the restroom in the middle of the road, exposing themselves. I got my kids in the car and they got to look over and see you using the restroom. You understand what I'm saying? It is not an indictment of them for why they're homeless, how they got homeless, or how long they will be homeless. That's not the case. It's not a judgment that I'm coming from. What I'm coming from is the fact of the matter is these people saw that there was a problem in their community, that at the end of the day, we've all been homeowners at some point in time in our lives. If we're not now, or if we plan on being in the future, one thing you understand as a homeowner is property value matters.
Oh, yeah.
And when you got people outside your neighborhood or inside your neighborhood publicly using drugs, selling drugs, having sex. Kevin clarified his comment was to me saying, I give them food, not money. I understand that. But what I'm saying is this.
It's
At
still,
the end of the
look,
day, they may not use it for bad things, but the people that I have had enough sympathy for to share with my money, they're going to buy alcohol. They're going to buy drugs. I didn't say that all of them do. The point I'm making is this. These people have a right in their community to make it better.
Word. So,
and I don't think there should be any shame on them for making a decision that makes their community better. It is the article we read says that the presence has reduced significantly since they put those boulders there. So it is working. It's not the same as the dumbass wall that the dumbass president is trying to get, allegedly get built. But again, I'm not, this is not a judgment of them for why they're homeless, how they got homeless, any of that. It's not a judgment in any way. My point is this. These people had a right to do something as citizens in their community.
Word.
And I commend them for taking action and doing it in a humane way. They did not hurt anyone. They did not damage anything. They simply did something together. And I wish that our communities would do that more often too, when we see problems.
So, last topic of the day. Did he go too far?
Who?
Antonio Brown.
Did he go too far on what?
The entire antics. Does he have a right to the money?
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna just put it out there. I'm an Antonio Brown fan. I don't think that everything that he's done has been the best possible way of doing it. I'm going to say this. As far as I know, he has not been charged with any criminal complaints. He has not, at least to this point, there's been no evidence that anyone has been hurt. There are allegations that people have been hurt. Those allegations came at a very opportune time. We'll see what happens in the courts. What I will say is this. He is out of the NFL at this point for doing things that former teammates and former owners on teams that he's playing on have done. And they've got slaps on the wrist. The difference in him and them is he's dark, they're not. So no, I don't think he went too far. In the end, I think that he will get at least a portion of his money. You made a guarantee to the man. You knew the risk when you made it. It is what it is. No, I don't think he went too far. When we go back and look at this story in time, unless Antonio Brown goes out and does something really stupid, you know, he goes back to Central Michigan and becomes the next school shooter or something silly like that, which, you know, that would really blow my mind if he were to do something like that. I don't mean to say that lightly. I'm saying like he really has to do something extra dumb, because all he's done so far is acting a fool on social media.
Right.
We celebrate people for doing that. They just had a story last night on Anthony Adams, Spice Adams, the former Chicago Bears defensive lineman, who's like killing the internet now with his jokes, and he act a fool online. All Antonio Brown's done is act a fool on social media, and even we in our community, we treat him, we call him dumbass, we call him this, that, the other. I don't think that he should have texted the young lady, but from what I read, he didn't actually text her. She got a hold of messages that he sent in a group chat. I want to know who the sucker is in the group chat that sent his message to her.
Well,
but my personal opinion is that he didn't go too far.
You alluded to that long time ago. Like you alluded to that long time ago about that whole phone issue, and
yeah,
people.
You can't trust everybody. Do he need a better circle? Do he need the no man? Absolutely. Does he need more people to help him understand what the best way to handle things are, especially when your money's online? Absolutely. But man, look here. The only difference in the dumb shit he did and the dumb shit I did is that he had $1 million contracts on the line.
Yeah.
We didn't all done something. We didn't all done something that we wouldn't want nobody else to know about. And if we were athletes or superstars, people, you know, that's the only way people would know it. Everybody do stupid stuff.
My thing about, I'm kind of, you know, new to this whole contract thing, but I thought the word guaranteed mean that you got it.
Well, like, they put clauses in, like certain dates have to be met. You have to be on the roster, all that. Yeah.
Right. That I get, but still, guaranteed means guaranteed. Now, for the Oakland Raiders situation, that's a toss-up for me. But he wanted to leave. So I don't think that really, like, he should be given some money for something. But the New England Patriots situation, the conspiracy theorist, petty person that I am, feel that somebody owed somebody something. Because there was a whole thing that happened in Miami that all of a sudden ain't being talked about no more.
Right.
Now all of a sudden we want to make a scapegoat of somebody else. Hey man, favor for a favor. That's just what I feel. That's my feeling.
Right.
Because that man went out there, he prepared. He didn't do nothing at the Patriots organization.
Well, what he did, from my understanding, is that they had went and told him not to communicate with the woman, and that's what pushed it over the top. That's the story that they put out, that they actually warned him not to communicate with her, and once he did, that's when they let him go.
But the issue I got with that is those tweets or those text messages that people released, that was released before he played the game. That whole little message thread was out before he caught that first touchdown. For me.
No. The one with the lady came out. The lady with the one with the that came out the Monday after, that came out the day after the game. It came out at least in the news media that I saw it came out.
It was the Saturday and Sunday around that time. For a message to happen, it has a timestamp on it. Mm-hmm. Come on, man, stop playing. Y'all just did that to that man because you want to make an example out of him, and you got somebody that owed you. Just be real. That's how I feel. That I don't see Antonio Brown literally walking out of the room right after you told him don't do it to do it. I don't see that.
Well, we don't know. I mean, like I said, he's done some boneheaded things. I would like to. I feel the same way. I don't see him doing either. And maybe the guy does have some problems. You know, maybe he does have some mental issues that need to be worked out. I just think at the end of the day, with all being said and done, what I will say is, again, he has not been formally charged. The prosecutor came out and said that they will not be pursuing charges against him, whether it's due to statute of limitations or not. I personally don't think he went too far. I think he made some bonehead choices, and that he has to live with them. It appears, at least based on what he's saying, he's willing to live with him. He's saying he's moving on. He's out of the NFL. He's going back to school. If he does that, I commend him. I feel like when it all said and done, he's going to get some of the money, if not a majority of it. I think that he'll also be back in the league next season.
Next season?
Yeah, I think it's going to be like a Kareem Hunt or Adrian Peterson situation. Even though the NFL has not put him on the exempt list, which to me is a big telltale sign. You know, he could end up on a roster this year, but I think that for him and for everybody, it's probably better for him to go ahead and sit out this season, go to school, do your thing. He's got enough things going on that he can make money in the background, especially if he can get past these situations with these young women, whatever that ends up being. But I guess what I'm saying to you is that it's really hard out here. The standard is going to be, okay, I made a bonehead move, and so now I can't make money. Nobody should be able to make money then, because everybody makes bonehead moves
every day.
I don't know nobody who's without fault. That's all I'm saying.
Some people wake up and be like, you know what I'm gonna do today? I'm gonna arrest a 6-year-old.
Some people wake up and say, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go shoot up a elementary school.
Some people, they even get up, look at social media, and be like, you know what I'm gonna do today? We're gonna rob this dude. Even though that sign over there say, don't come over here with playing, don't you come over with that bullying. You're gonna walk over here, but you're gonna limp back. And some people don't even get to limp back.
And some people wake up and say, you know what? I'm tired of the things that's happening in my community, and I can do something about it. I'm not a victim.
But last and most certainly not least, some people be like, look, man, you won. Going on. I'm done. You can tell everybody. Well, and next thing you know, you see this right here. Brother, come back looking like this. Moral of the story.
On that note.
Moral of the story is, don't come around here playing at the mother folks' property, because some people will take it upon themselves and make something happen. But it's a community of people that come together and put boulders on their property so you can move around, or whether it's a grown man sitting in his yard relaxing with his neighbors, letting off rounds because you felt like you want to come and disturb the peace.
Right.
Hey, don't play.
That's for sure.
Trap man.
Hey, man. You guys start bringing up old stuff, man. I ain't been able to live this down for years, man.
What's old stuff?
Hey, man. Hey, nothing. Hey, shout out to everybody that joined in on the watch party. You know what I'm saying? Everybody that joined in on the Zoom. I agree. This boy is there. I ain't gonna say he's stupid, but this dude over, he got a petty problem. I'm your boy, Chasey Trapman, Plain Talk Propaganda. Check us out. We're gonna post it up on YouTube. Like, subscribe, share, comment. DJ Don P, take us out of here, man. I came scrolling piece around here, man.
We're trying to tell y'all. Small world.
I'm a top one, and you gon' work that too.
Hey.
How you break 22? Oh Lord, my I'm a fight to the line.
We coming.
Yeah.
No. Here.
We pay him a bit. Speaking on my name, drop a change. Big body range, you know we are not the same. We are not the same. We are not the same.
And we out.
We are not the same.
Out.
We are not